So, ladies and gentlemen, very welcome again on one of my videos. Just to let you know, we're going to be looking at the new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. This is going to be from a perspective of a real pilot. Also, we will be comparing some aspects of it to explain too. Okay, so just to let you know, we're just going to go quickly through some of the settings I have set here. If we go to Options General, you'll see that I have everything notched up to the highest I can. Also, the flight model is on realistic, has many of the aspects of flight model will be as real as it can get. So, for today's flight, we're going to look into flying my training aircraft that I used to fly, the Cessna 172, probably with analog cockpit. Let's do something interesting today. Let's go to the Madrid TMA. We'll go to Cuatro Vientos. We'll head out towards the escape route, which is Whiskey here, and we'll head off to towards the VOR of Navas. Okay, so there'll be plenty of space to play around with. We've got also Casarrubios. If you're fans of the Red Bull Air Racing, there's a pilot, well, Spanish pilot called Juan Velarde. He's also based here, so you can often see him practicing if you ever come around Madrid. So, we'll go to Cuatro Vientos. Just quickly explain, this is the map that comes in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, what I have done is, to help me a little bit more, if you go to Open Filters, there's different options to go through to customize this map for you. Okay, so you've got clouds as well. You can see also how much water is dropping. You can also take that off. I wish there was a combination of both. That would be a good thing. You can also put winds, which I think is quite neat. I wish it also had a bit of a movement to it, so we can know the directions of the winds. That would be quite neat. As you can see, you've got all the different level winds. You can also see if your friends are flying. You can also see if anyone else is flying. Right, the other thing I had to change was I added airspaces. So if you go further in, when you get this installed, you won't have anything of this. So with airspaces, at least I can sort of know if I want to choose spots on the map, because I can, if I want, I can just click anywhere I want, and I can set it as a departure point rather than have to go to an airfield. But today we're going to go to an airfield. We'll set that as a departure. We'll set that as the arrival as well. I've never done it that way, but let's go put LCU. There we go. Right, flight conditions. Right, well, this is something I like too. We have live players. If you put live players, you get in everything with live traffic, so that means any aircraft with ADS-B tends to be airliners in Class A airspace. Will come up on here, so any Ryanair flights, any, you name it, will appear. I'm still not sure how it manages the traffic in Flight Sim, because obviously when you're doing your radio comms through the sim, it will, I don't know if there's some flexibility towards that, as if you are coming into land it will delay flights, or there's got to be something of that, because you can't just, or maybe it just repositions you, you know, go in second. Obviously I don't know, but then you've got live players. So my only issue with live players is it's all levels, so you'll have people like me who are using simulators to practice, to especially now with coronavirus, we keep you know, our skills honed. Now there'll be hardcore fly simmers, but there'll also be new people, impatient people. I mean, I had someone, as I was landing in, I mean, I got all my permissions, everything. He decided just to land behind me and veer off the runway and overtake me. So, yeah, I'm not too happy with that, but, I mean, you know, there's nothing else that we can do about it unless they could, you know, do like with VATSIM where, you know, people have to follow certain rules and otherwise they're just kicked out. So, we're just going to put real weather. If you put all players, obviously now it gives you more customization. So you go on to preset. Now you can, you know, you can get your presets: clear skies, few clouds, scattered clouds, broken clouds, high level. Anyway, whatever you want, usual stuff. But if you click custom, this is where, if I click here, that's one preset. Anyway, I can modify this preset now, so I can add wind layers. I can change everything from snow, how much snow there is. You know, if you want a clean and dry runway, contaminated, wet, lighting, temperature at mean sea level, ISO variations, you know, your pressure in hectopascals or in inches of mercury if you're in the States. There'll be somewhere where you can put meters as well. I could imagine that, especially in Russia, they use meters for altitudes as well. In Europe, we use meters for lengths of runways and lengths of visibility, but we use feet for heights and altitudes. So, right, I think that is it from my side here. If there's any questions that you guys may have, just leave us a comment and I'll try and get to you as quick and soon as possible. So let's get to flying. So we said our aircraft of choice today will be I kind of wish that there was a DA-42, just because a lot of flight schools, when they're training, they use that sort of aircraft. I do like that there's the DA-40NG and the TDI. I have not tried them both. I'm not sure if one of them is analog and one is glass. Right, here we go. Guys, the actual version you see in here is the deluxe premium version, so it's the fullest and most completest version of all. I was a alpha and beta tester, just to let you know, but I'll let you know some more of that later on. Right, so the Skyhawk, we're gonna do the one without the G1000, just so you see the little ball, the flight, you know. So you can see when I'm doing certain manoeuvres, you know, how P factor affects the aircraft and how, you know, adverse yaw affects the aircraft when you roll and things like this. It's a bit harder to look at in a G1000. So we'll go with that, and we think we're set. So I might want to go off the runway just because we are starting off anyway. I can show you all the procedures. I know we'll actually leave it started up and right. So set as departure. There we go. Right, let's load it. Right, we are in a Cessna 172. I know I said that I was going to keep it on, but I started it off. So we've just come into our first problem, and I want to show you what that is. So when I started this sim, I've got the honeycomb yoke, and I had the both master switches on. So what that's done is, if I've kept it for half an hour, the battery's gone flat. So nothing should work. Okay, which is what's happened. but not quite like that. So if I switch on my battery, it goes beep. So there's current. You can hear the humming in the background, and as you can tell, there should be 2 gyros here, one in your attitude indicator and one in your DI. They spin around, and your amp meter, if it's above 0, it's obviously charging. If it's below 0, it's obviously discharged. Well, it's the same as when I start the aircraft up. I mean, it's charging. It can't be. But just to show you that it's flat, I mean, this is being simulated now. My magnetos are off. My mixture's in. My fuel valve is on both tanks, so there's obviously fuel going in. I've got my throttle on 1/4 inch in, so I'm ready to start up. I'm not going to follow a checklist, but I just want you to see how this works. So right magneto, left magneto, both, and if I start it, nothing. Completely flat, but it's showing that the battery is charged. There's power on the aircraft, the gyros are being powered up, so I bet you if I go outside, my beacon light is working. If I put my landing lights, will also be working. So what we'll do is go here, we'll go outside. Oh, it's such a sunny day. Here we go. Right, ready, and navigation lights. I can't really see them. No. Any other lights? No, that's good. That's how it should be working. Yeah, no lights, no beacon lights. Oh, that's perfect. Right, so that's correct. But that shouldn't really be powering. I mean, it's flat. So now, how do I charge this? Well, I can't. I'd have to restart the aircraft. So just give us a moment, we'll do that. Right, we're back in our Cessna 172 with a hopefully charged battery. Another thing I've noticed is this, and I'm going to show you. So the battery's obviously off, so we've gone into this problem where the ammeter needle is not working. But having the battery off would also show no fuel. It'd have to be 0. So once you put your battery on, these 2 needles would go up to hopefully the level of fuel that you have in. So, right, this is my Cessna 172 in X-Plane. It's exactly the same model, and we're just going to see what happens when I add the battery. So just watch here what happens. Right, you see how this is below 0? Check that out. You see, it's discharging, it's not charging, it's not 0. Also, now you can check the fuel quantity. So if I turn this off, see, they're meant to go back to 0. This is meant to go back to 0, but now I'm discharging. Now if I were to turn on the engine, sorry, the avionics, just because I've clicked that one by mistake, I'll show you that. It's obviously going to bring more power load. Lighting should do the same. As you see, I'm adding lights. The landing light is the one that does most. And now if I turn the engine on, it probably won't because I still need to prime it. That's another thing it will simulate. Unless it's hot enough. No, that doesn't want to go in. So what we're going to do is put the pump on for a second or two. Right, hopefully it hasn't flooded. Let's give that a try. Let's see if it's flooded. Let's do. There we go. Right, so what I had there was the mixture out and the power in, just to not flood the engine. And then it started. Right, so let me show you now. What happened here, the ammeter is now above 0, which means it's charging. If I now add avionics, it's obviously momentarily it's gone down, but it's now charging again. If I add lights, it adds a bit of a load to the battery, but it now charges. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a startup. We're not going to follow the checklist, but just so you see how all this goes. So we're going to keep our beacon light on, as you can see there. So battery master's on, we've got our mixture out, but it was in. So we're going to enrich it. We've got also our fuel valve on both. Everything's charged up as normal. Right, so we're going to have a look at these things here. Right, so 1/4 inch in on the throttle. Parking brake is on. And start up. Right, let's give that another try. Why isn't that starting? What? That was odd. That was so odd. Okay. Right. Yeah, I was not expecting that. He's even asked for pushback straight away. I mean, I have it on automatic ATC comms, just so I can focus on this, but yes, alright, okay. Just so you know, the sounds of the aircraft are not in full because I have it simulating that I'm wearing a headset, so you'll hear any VHF noise and radio comms as the engine. As you can see, if this was a real guy, he would be mincemeat, so don't do that if you're ever near a real aeroplane. The airfield elevation is 2,200 feet. And we are getting pushback. Although in this airfield you wouldn't really need it, you just taxi forward. And I haven't even taken my handbrake off, but it's obviously done it. Okay. I'm completely lost here. Oh my goodness. Right, okay. Well, anyway. You've seen what happened there. It just wouldn't start up. And it managed to start up with automatic starting. Goodness knows what's happened here. Anyway. As you can see, the needle's gone up here. We still need to get the pressure up. Never take off with low engine pressure. Vacuum should be between... It's not even on the green. Fuel flow... I mean, I've got it idling, so suppose that'll do. We'll soon see. So if I put my brakes on and I throttle up, yeah, alright, that works. Our pressure's gone up as well. Okay, that's working. Okay. Now, thing I'm not happy about is in X-Plane I get my DI out of sync from my magnetic compass. So here I have it in sync. Now over time, over the next 10-15 minutes, this should show 5, 10, 15 degrees off from what it says here. So we'll be checking that in about 10-15 minutes. So let's see. Right, let's go and taxi to the runway. We don't have any flaps, but for whatever reason they don't seem to be working either. Now I made some profiles, and this is why. Yeah, that's one thing I like on X-Plane, is that every aircraft I can do a control profile for it, and it will change automatically every time I change aircraft. Obviously here it doesn't, but anyway, that was good to show you. Right, let's taxi. So if I were to now stop because there's an aircraft coming in, here we go. When I'm idling, I'm not idling at between 500 and 700 RPMs. I'm actually idling. I need to put my throttle at 1200. Now the reason for that is to cool down the engine, because you need airflow going into the engine to cool it down, and also to stop it from fouling. Okay, so now if I'm here, what I like is, if you see on the nose, you can see it's obviously wanting to move forward, and I have my brakes on, so it's obviously, you know, bouncing about, and that's really good. And if I let go now of my pedals, in reality we should be taxiing, because there's enough power to start taxiing. And now I've just put my throttle up and it's, you know, moving, but at 1200 RPMs it's just not. I mean, as you can see, I've got it at 1400. Anyway, we'll slowly taxi around. Right, where's our windsock? I'll just go right here. I'll just get out of the way just in case there's anyone wanting to come out. So, our windsock is there. So we've got a bit of a very light crosswind, if anything. So we'll just point it into the wind. Right, there we go. Right, we'll put parking brake on. Right, so now what we do is we go 1700 RPMs. And if we had a carburetor heat, there's not automatic, would pull it out for 10 seconds, our RPMs would actually come down. We'd put it back up, so our RPMs would go back up. We just watch our T's and P's, so your temperatures and pressures in the engine would be green. So now what we would do is check the left magneto, and we'd have our drop in our RPMs. We'd go back to both, and then we'd go back to right, and then back to both. And then we'd idle, and we would have to go between 500 and 700 RPMs, which is correct, and back to 1200. We'd put our flaps up if we've got them down, because we've been doing our outside inspection. We'd make sure our altimeter is correct, everything is in sync, and when you can see our compass is just slightly out of it. Perhaps not, but anyway, for my own comfort. Oh, that's not very accurate. As you can see, it jumps in 10 degrees. Oh, that is not good at all. I mean, if anybody knows how to do this degree by degree, this is not good at all. Right, okay. Yeah, not happy with that. Right, so there's different views. As you can see, I've got a bit over the cowl, which is how I normally fly the real aircraft. If you go backwards on the hat switch, it will show the most of the instruments. If I go down again, this is the view it will show. Then down again, you'll get full cockpit, grateful instrument flying, and then if I go right, it will go on to these views, as you can see. And then once I hit it again, it will pop back up there, and if you just keep flicking up, it will come out there. So the good thing about this sim, in a way, I mean, at the moment there's still a few things down, but As you see, it's quite bright outside, so if I look inside, now my focus is on the instruments, but outside it's just flashed out. So if we do that, now it will come back in here to be dark. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, and I think he gave us already permission. No, he didn't. Right. Tune tower, come on. There we go. No, not that one. Oh, runway 9. Okay. Well. Okay, well this is not runway 9er, this is 27, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the other runway and see what happens, if ATC will tell us anything. So the unfortunate thing is I can't look underneath this window, but we check for right traffic, left traffic. There is traffic at the end of the runway, so we shouldn't really be here, but we don't care because we want to see what's going to happen. So runway 27 would check, and it's 270 on the eye, and also it's 270 on the compass. Traffic has vacated the runway, would slowly throttle up between 3 to 5 seconds. And right, now we should feel our nose going left like this. And I'd have to correct with my right pedal to keep it in the runway centerline. So today is a hot day. It is 2,200 feet, so 65. We'll start climbing. Right, climb at 70. So if the speed increases, what we'll do is we'll lift up the nose. If it decreases, we just lower the nose. But we keep it full throttle at 70. Keep it on the runway centerline. Well, ATC has not said anything, so that's another point proved. There's a bit of a slow performance in this Cessna. Some of it is due to being a hot day, being at 2,200 feet. It's a higher density altitude, so the aircraft will take a little bit to take off. Now, the weights I've put in though, in the weight and balance sheet, I mean, we only got half a tank, as you can see just there. So we're 200 feet above, we would trim, would take the landing light off, but I think in Cuatro Vientos you'd have to keep it on until you leave the area through Whiskey. And I believe you cannot go over 3,000 feet because there's part of the Madrid TMA at 3,200, I believe. Anyway, so let's let it speed up a little bit. We'll bring our throttle to 2,100. Okay, that should give us about 90 knots indicated. Just trim it out a little bit. So basically, trim what it is, guys, is so let's say that now we're trimmed. Okay, so if I let go of my controls, the aircraft doesn't pitch up and doesn't pitch down, so which means that it's a very comfortable flight. You don't have to do many inputs, and your altimeter will pretty much remain the same. If I were to reduce power, that will increase the drag factor. Yeah. Okay.
Cuatro Vientos Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra frequency change. Cuatro Vientos Tower Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is 4 miles west with echo to land. Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra Cuatro Vientos Tower. Fly left traffic runway 27.
Well, no, we're not going to join the... Right, okay, well, we're not going to do that. We are meant to be leaving the airfield. Oh well, that's another bug. Because usually it'll just, it'll let you click on the option and then the automatic communications will happen. But it seems like it just wanted to keep me in the circuit. Anyway, we'll ignore that. So what I was trying to get is if you throttle back, the nose will go down. Because now there's less thrust, so now the drag component's increased. Now my nose will lower down, and as the effect of that, of going down, our speed will increase, okay? If I now go back, I pull on the yoke, and I keep it level flight, and I put it back to 2100. Our aircraft right now is trimmed for that power, 2100 RPM. Now, if I increase the power, what you'll get is an increase in lift because of the power that's increased. And due to increased airflow, the aircraft will pitch up. So now what will happen is that the speed will actually decrease. Okay, right, let's go back to level flight at 2100 feet. So what I'm trying to say is if I now wanted to cruise at 2,300 RPMs, obviously that would be a higher indicated speed, and for me to keep the aircraft with minimum input, I'd have to trim the aircraft for that speed and power. If I change any of that, I have to retrim. So here's our first test. One thing I don't really like about the flight dynamics in Microsoft Flight Sim is uncoordinated turns. So uncoordinated turns, basically a proper turn would require two things. When you roll, it's going to create a secondary effect, which is yaw. So to compensate that, you'd apply rudder in the same direction as you're turning. It also put this ball out of place. If you keep this ball centered, it means that you're doing a coordinated turn. You could drink a cup of water without a lid easily, at 60 degrees bank if you keep that ball in the middle. Right, so my point is, when you do your roll without pedals and you do it violently, you get a certain amount of adverse yaw. And as you see, I turn left and my nose turns right, and as I turn, so I bank right, my nose goes left. So if we now look at what the ball's doing, you'll see that the ball moves. But I do feel that that ball is not moving a lot for the amount of movement I'm doing on the yoke. I mean, I'm doing it quite violently. So to compensate that, now as I'm doing the bank, I'd add left rudder if I'm going left and right rudder if I'm going right. So let me show you how the nose moves when I do that. So we'll do left and we do right. Do left, do right, and I'm trying to keep the ball centered, but it's very minimum yaw I need to put in. And in the aircraft, I mean, you do have to put in a bit of a push, and over here I do find it quite hard because it's minimum rudder I need to add, and you might as well just not do it at all. Okay, so we're back in X-Plane 11 in our Cessna 172. We're just going to demonstrate that again, just rolling with no rudder pedals. You'll see as I turn left, the nose will exaggeratedly move right, and when I go right, the nose will move towards the left. So here we go. Obviously, the slower the speed I go, the adverse yaw will be greater. Okay, here we are. Alright, and just let me show you what coordinated turns are like in explain. Just let it settle back in. Right, here we go. There we go. So what I'm going to show you now, it's a video from a YouTube channel called The Finer Points. It's done by a flight instructor with loads of experience. He's got loads of tips and is great for continuous learning and make you better, better and a safer pilot. So I'd recommend you checking him out. You'll learn a lot. This video is all about feeling the seat of your pants. So when you're doing your turns, you can feel if you're coordinated by just the way that your body feels. Like, you don't have to look at the ball. So he's showing a few exercises on how to work on that. So I'm just going to show a portion of it. I'm going to show you how the nose movement looks when you do not apply any rudder on sharp turns, like sharp rolls. So just have a look at this and tell me if it looks anything like Microsoft Flight Simulator just a few moments ago.
Alright, anyway, so you're going to use really large aileron inputs just to whatever extent you feel comfortable. I'm about 70 knots. I'm going to go hard right, hard left. Look at that, right? And the nose is going opposite the direction I'm rolling. So when I roll right, the nose goes left. When I roll left, the nose goes right. Now feel that in your seat. If you're imagining there's a right hand on your right side and a left hand on your left side, you will feel pressure on the side you need. So when I roll right, I need right pressure. When I roll left, I feel it on my left side. When I roll right, I feel it on my right side. Okay? That's step one. Step two, the next thing I want you to notice.
So as you can see, the nose exaggeratedly moves opposite to where you're rolling. So now what he's going to do is going to do the same exercise but applying rudder. So I want you to look at how the nose movement is in comparison to the horizon on this.
So now you're going to use those same fast roll rates at this same slow speed, only you're going to try to fix it by adding in some rudder. There, that felt a little better. That felt a little better. Now if you use too much rudder, you'll feel the same thing on the opposite side. For example, if I roll left and use too much left rudder, I'll feel pressure on my right side. So what you're trying to learn here is seat of your pants flying skills. When I roll hard right, then I use, that was it right there. Roll left, that's it right there. So experiment, because the harder you roll, the faster you roll, the more pressure on the rudder you're going to need. If I simply just roll super slow like this, barely putting in any aileron, there I'm rolling, I don't need any rudder at all, really. I mean, there's just not enough adverse aileron you ought to need to counteract anything. So
as you can tell, the actual movement in reference to the horizon is very similar to flying the Cessna in the simulator without applying any rudder. Now the issue I see with that is, as a real world pilot, is you'll end up getting poor habits, because if you can't really add rudder, you'll stop doing it, and you'll stop doing it in an aircraft, and that could lead to a very dangerous situation. I mean, the last thing you want, if we just climb up a little bit, we're adding full power, so we're above 3,000 feet. So now what's going to have to happen is, to get good performance, I need to lean the engine a bit. There we go, that's about right. We'll climb at 70, and what I'm going to show you is a stall. And when you're doing climbs and turns, you don't want to bank more than 7 degrees. So if I demonstrate you a turn in a climb, you do a little bit of left rudder as you're doing the left turn, and you'd keep it like this. So nice and steady left banking turn. Climb. Right, we're just losing a bit of airspeed there, so we'll just lower the nose. Right, we'll keep it at 4,000. So we've got about 2,000 feet. In reality, we'd you know, we'd do our stalls and spins much higher. Stalls at 3,000, spins obviously depends how much you want to do, but obviously I think it's about six to 8,000 feet. Right, so let's put our aircraft back into our speed and our trim. Right, so now we're cruising, and now imagine this. So we are doing a left climbing turn, and for whatever reason I didn't lean the engine properly, and I'm not getting enough power output, I'm pitching too much, whatever, and I'm not pressing the rudder. What's going to happen? Anyone tell me? That's going to happen. You're going to end up in a spin. Power off, come on, come on, come on, and power in. And climb. Whew. Right, everybody see, how much did we lose? A good 1,000 feet. Right, I want to do that again so you see what it is. You see, I'm actually full power. I'm actually stalling. I'm not banking, so not yawing, and there you go. And that's with full power. I mean, right, the wing's flying again. We just pull, 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 come on. Feel the G's, and power. Right, you get my point. So the next scenario is, you don't want that happening when you are doing your base to final turn. So your base to final turn will include 20 degrees flaps. You're quite low on the ground, and you know, if you stall there because of poor rudder, it will turn into a spin. You could get it to turn. You could get it to be just a stall by adding rudder and keeping a, you know, a balanced turn. But once you stop adding the rudder, it will turn into a spin. So it's definitely more dangerous. Right, let's put it in a cruise here. So now, what I'm going to show you is the gliding characteristics of this aircraft. Let's put it looking back to, let's see, where's the closest airfield? Oh look, we're nearly near Casa Rubia, so we'll just go head that way. I think that'll be it. Okay, there we go. I think it might be that there. Right, so we're in our cruise. Where are you? There we go. Right, that was out of trim as well, and I haven't changed anything. I mean, it was the same airspeed, 90, and 2,100 RPMs, and I've had to retrim it. Right, we're going to do our breather check, which would include fuel. It's still on both. We got a bit less than half. Radios, yeah, we're tuned in to whatever radio frequencies. We've got our engine. We pull our carburetor heat. We've got mixture, all that kind of stuff. And now our direction. This is what we wanted to check. So it's 160. And it's still 160 here. So it hasn't gone out of balance. I mean, we've done stalls, spins, and it's still showing the same direction. So that should change. Right, gliding speed. So the best optimal lift and drag ratio speed in a Cessna 172 is 70 knots. So if we had an engine failure, what you do is you'd keep the attitude up, slow it down to 70, and glide at 70. You now retrim, because obviously now you're going at a different speed, and as you can see, I'm not touching the controls. this is the actual glide speed. Sorry, the glide rate. So you've got about 600, yeah, 600 feet. That's about correct for the real thing. But now tell me, where would you land here if you have an engine failure? I mean, it's mostly uneven fields, bushes. If you want, guys, just let me know. We could probably do a video on, you know, faults and stuff like that in the Cessna 172 and how Microsoft Flight Simulator handles it. Right, we're going to level off here. Right, so we are nearly there, so it will be just... Right, one more thing I want to show you is level flight with flaps. So we're in the range now for flaps, so we're in the white arc. So if I lower down one set after trimming this, stand by. Right, here we go. So we should get a ballooning effect. That's 10 degrees, right? It's increased a bit. Our feet per minute increased. Right, our speed lowered, and if I do 20 degrees flaps, it should do the same thing. So what would you do is you push down on the nose just to keep it from ballooning, so this could remain in 0. Now we can go at, let's say, 65, 70 knots, and we could admire the views and not have to worry about going too fast. Right, there's our airfield. That's Casarrubios. So what we could do is join the pattern. So we'll put the flaps up again. So what we'd do there is we'd have to pull on the nose because our lift has decreased, so the aircraft will go down. Right, so let's check our RPMs. That sounds about right. So when you fly in, what you try to do is remember different RPM settings by the noise it makes as well. The other thing we haven't tried is if you now had a trimmed level flight, let's say a 21, right, so let me trim it, and I decrease my pitch, our RPMs, because of the speed, should increase, which it's doing, but I think that not being too much. And if I go up, it should decrease it like so. Right, we don't want to stall, so let's put it down. Right, we got our airfield just there. We'll just ask for a straight in approach, if it'll let us. There we go. No, it won't let us. Oh, there we go. Cancel landing.
Request directions to the airport. Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra Airport is 6 o'clock, 13 miles.
No, not again. There we go.
Quattro Vientos Tower, Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, cancel landing intention. Cessna X-Ray Golf Sierra, your cancellation is received.
Right, Casarrubios. Here we go. So it'd be, let's say, runway 08, I believe. Yeah.
Lima Echo Mike Tango traffic Cessna Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 2 miles southeast, 2,900 feet inbound to land runway 8.
Right, how are we doing here? Right, so what we're going to do is we'll go with that.
Mike Tango, traffic Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra Tree, miles southeast, 2,700 feet inbound to land, runway 8.
I do believe we need to be higher for this. Let's leave it at 3,000. Unfortunately, I haven't checked the altitude of the airfield, but this looks about right. So when you're doing a circuit, you should be 1,000 feet AGL. That means above ground level. So we'll put it now at 2,100 RPMs. We'll do our entry here, and once we're in, we'll just call our downwind. There we go. Does it let me do downwind?
Lima Echo Mike Tango, traffic Cessna Alpha Sierra X-ray Golf Sierra 1 miles south, 3,100 feet inbound to land, runway 8.
Oh well, we'll soon get into base. Yeah, I think we can start doing our turn. Right, so we'll check anyone left, anyone right, do our turn. Right, stop turning there. Right, now, carb heat in, power down to 1,700 in the white arc, 1 flap and 2 flaps. We look right, just to see where we're at, and judging by where I saw briefly that runway, we'll do our 20-degree turn. You'd look left and then you'd look right again. There we go. Oh, perfect. Oh, automatic mouse. Right, we're going to have to go idle. So this is a short runway, so what we want is about 65. Lower the flaps again, do a bit of a slip. Come on, Cessna, slow down. There we go. Yeah, attaboy. There we go. Right, there we go. Add a bit of power onto the numbers. Hold it off, hold it off, hold it off. Right. Flaps up. Let's go back up again. Show you a couple more things. Come on. There we go. Good boy. There we go. Keep at 70. Right, I'm climbing full power. What should happen? That ball should be even further to the right because I notice it's being pulled left. I'm not happy with that, and I'll show you why in a moment when we do a go around. Right, our runway height was about there, altitude was there, so let's do our left look, right look, and no more than 7-degree turn at 70 knots. I wish that these tabs could be removed and just have the highlighting on there to say that you have the mouse over the control, so it will. So if you click on it, it will do something, but just small enough that you wouldn't have a huge text right in front of it. I especially find that a problem when you look around. If the mouse is over anything, it will just flash around. Right. We'll just look over there. As you see, we're 90 degrees off. And we'll see if the computer will do the comms for us. Right, let's put it at 2100. The other thing I don't like at the moment is I'm used to now virtual reality. So I've got used to a flow of searching for traffic, looking for runways, different angles when you're on the downwind and you've got your 45-degree angle to go for the for your base leg. And you obviously lose a lot just from that. Not so much the 3D. I mean, the 3D helps a lot because it gives you a perspective on how low are you off the ground when you're doing your flares and things like that, and you know where your traffic is. Right, so once we come abeam our threshold for the opposite runway, you do your downwind call, whatever call sign, downwind, request touch and go, and the tower will respond, and then you go Roger, and the call sign again. There's no need to repeat all the details again. Sorry, not Roger, Wilco. Right, as you see, we are quite wide on our pattern, but that is fine. We would have done our checks by now, so park and brake off, pressure in the brakes, TCP is green, mixture rich, enough fuel for go around, vacuum, ammeter, suction. So that's what that is there. Right, are we 45 degrees off the threshold? I'm going to say yes. We'd look left, we'd look right. Do our medium turn, which is 30 degrees. Now, a tip for those of you who are new to flying, don't look at the compass when you do turns because you'll get a big error. We can explain that at some point. Right, here we are, throttle down, into the white arc. Now we can lower the flaps, 10, flaps 20, just lower the nose a little bit. It will increase drag, so now we'll probably have to add a little bit of power. Look right for our runway there. And we're going to take it really slow. We'll look left, we'll look right. Yeah, this is just not doing our calls for us. Right, in a turn we don't do more than 20 degrees bank, so it'll be either that line or there. But we don't want to be looking at this stuff, we want to be looking outside. Oh, we've done it a little bit early. And that's the other thing, guys, about virtual reality. It's just easier to look around really often and not have blind spots. So, unfortunately, it's not going to be a perfect circuit, but we'll get into it. Nothing can't be fixed. Even landings can be fixed. When they're bad, you just don't land, you just go for a go-around. So, if you don't feel safe, throw it away and go around. Like now. It tends to go really fast down, and that's one thing I'm not liking. So even though I've got 30 degrees down, it's still quite... It likes to run. Doesn't like to slow down. There we go, 70. I mean, I'm completely idle. Right. All of a sudden, we get wobbly bit of wind. That's fine. So what's going to happen now? Oh dear, no, we're off the centre of the runway. Go around. Watch this. You saw that? No? If it didn't, it's because it didn't happen. So watch this again. So we're at 60 knots over the runway. You wouldn't do this in reality, but watch this. Watch the ball. That ball is completely centered when I've added full power from idle. Now that is dangerous. I'll tell you why. Okay, so we're back to another video by the finer points. This is about mistakes that have been done on rejected landings, go-arounds, and he's going to show one of the most common mistakes when doing a go-around, which is what we just saw. It's applying power without applying rudder, and he's just going to display it through in just a second.
Alright, so I turned in early. I'm going to show you the second error that people make. If I don't use rudder, watch the nose when I bring power in. This is the second mistake I see people make. I say, go around, and they do this. Did you see that nose yaw left? And that was actually...
Did you see that amount of yaw? That did not happen at all in the sim.
perfect, because what people do is they jam that power in. Now that's 0 power to 180 horsepower, and it pulls the nose left. It just yaws you left. And you heard the stall horn there, right? So what happens if you're yawing and stalling at the same time? Pop quiz, yawing, stalling at the same time, you spin, right? So that's why that is a dangerous moment for loss of control accidents. It's entirely solved by connecting your right foot to your right hand. When you add power, your right foot has to come in to control that yaw. If your right foot doesn't come in to control that yaw, you're just missing one of the core fundamentals of rudder use. That is, when you add power, you add right rudder in a single engine airplane, period. Especially in a go-around when you're going from 0 power to full power. Okay.
So, if you'd like to know more about the finer points, I will be adding a link in our description, and I will put the 2 links to the 2 videos which I've taken the material from. But yeah, please do check him out, support him. He's got so much material, and I honestly think, you know, because of his work, it makes real pilots safer. Okay, we're back in X-Plane 11 in our Cessna 172. We're just going to demonstrate what happens when we add power in a go-around. And we do not add right rudder as we're doing that. The nose will yaw left, resulting in a roll to the left. Also at low speed, because it's a short runway, so we're doing about 60 on our approach, about 55 on our flare. It will turn up into a stall, and what happens when we yaw and stall, it will turn up into spin, and we'll just crash into the ground. So it's very important to add right rudder. Right. We're just aiming before our threshold, and we fly it in with power. Right, I'm not happy about this landing, so go around, full power, and as you see, I had to add a bit of a right aileron there so it wouldn't roll left. But that's what would happen. Let's clean the flaps and enter a steady climb. Okay, there we go. Right, clean it up. 70. Right, the reason why I'm saying it's dangerous. So what should have happened is that the nose will go left. Like if you're doing a takeoff, the nose goes left. Well, you'd get a quick and quite steep yaw to the left, and then obviously that would turn into roll, because that's the secondary effect of yaw. And you'd compensate that by adding right rudder as you add power. Now, what can happen there is that in reality, if you didn't add the yaw to the right, you'd get a immediate yaw to the left, then a roll to the left, and then because you're going so slow, it can turn into horrible stall, and including a spin. And what will happen? It will hurt. It will hurt really bad. So And that's one thing I'm not really keen about this. I know that people are saying that the G aircraft on this sim is quite good. I mean, it's not too bad, but things like this, I mean, I can't use it for practicing because you'll end up not getting a habit. Because if I added right rudder, as I'm doing that, I'm going to get this. And obviously, as you see, now it's rolling to the right. And that's not what happens in reality, you know. Once you add power, you'd get the yaw to the left and you'd add right yaw. So you wouldn't even feel it. Right, let's get back to it. So let's turn now. We're leveled off. So we can do a 30-degree bank. We do not touch the power as we're in the turn. Right, let's see how she handles in a flapless approach. Let's do it from here. We'll just make the final longer. Now sometimes with mechanical things, what can happen is that the flaps will stop working. And it's not a problem. All you have to do is fly a shallower approach at a higher airspeed. I believe that's 2100. Let's have a look. Oh, bang on! Right. So as we come up to the threshold, you do your radio calls, then brakes are off, parking brakes off, pressure in the brakes, TCP is green, enough fuel for go around. Make sure this is with this, make sure the altimeter is correct. All that beautiful stuff. As aviation is all about safety. So as you can see, our flaps are up and they're up here as well. Oh, I really went far out. It's taking much longer than I thought. Right. And as we can see again, this is not out of sync. So Microsoft, if you're listening to this, please do change that. You need gyro drift. It has to have it. Don't get me wrong, I like the way that the nose wobbles around, you know, the airplane does feel alive, you know, the sound is really good. But there's a lot of stuff that I can't really do like I do in X-Plane. So when I fly my Cessna in X-Plane, obviously I've got an add-on, which is the SimCoders Reality Pack, and that does add a lot to it. It's made by some flight instructors, and it is pretty accurate from when I was flying Cessnas. Right, let's have a look where we are. So usually we're turned around here. Let's bring it a little bit forward. So when you're flying on the visual flight rules like we're doing now, you know, no instruments, you want to avoid looking inside. You want to be looking outside. You know, you keep level by looking at the horizon with a cow. You always keep about 4 fingers here. I mean, at least on my hand. So you know, just from time to time you look at the altimeter to make sure you haven't gone up or down. Just little things like that. You know, just pick up a spot in the horizon and go there. Just, you know what heading or course you're taking, so just fly towards that thing and look for aeroplanes. I mean, people are flying around and all you can see is little dots. And many times you don't see them, and you know, if you have it really close to you, you have to take action. So, right, I think that's more than enough. Right, let's do a turn. We would have looked by now. This will be to 350. Just before we get there, we'll start leveling off. So by the time we're finished, it'll be 350. Let's look towards the right. As you can see on the map, we are here. So we've got a good long final there. I just hate you can't see anything, and you know, pop your head back or underneath and stuff. Because I could have got rid of this blind spot by now. I would have looked our left and then our right. We'll just assume we've done that. Because we haven't got flaps, we can do a 30-degree bank. Well, are you that? Yes, I think you're that. Just probably a poor angle. Right, here we go. Oh, we turned so early. It is fine. Still got plenty of time. It's safe. Right, so what we want for this one is a nice shallow landing. Sorry, approach. As we have no flaps, so we need to slow down. If we do it any steeper, it will speed up, and we can't slow down because we have no flaps. And also, we want to go fast enough that without flaps we can fly. We'll have a higher stall speed. Right, let's get it down to 70. You don't want anything below 70. I mean, we can do 65 over the threshold, but not below that. Let's see if you get any changes, such as, you know, wind direction, speed, and, you know, you all of a sudden have a 20 knot gust that rips that 20 knot margin off you. You've had it. You will stall. You want a nice, safe speed. Oh, here we go. We're speeding. Right, let's put it in a bit of a slip. There we go. Come on. Come on. Right, it's a short runway, so what we're going to do is, obviously, we want to go over the displaced threshold. And now, you want to go right over it. Right, hold the nose up. You see, it's not great when the flaps don't work, but we're going to have to go around. Right, you got the idea. So yeah, I mean, it does go quite long at 70, but the thing I find is it just doesn't seem to slow down as quick as the real aircraft. I mean, it wants to keep flying, and I was idling for, you know, from the threshold. So right, what we're going to do now is let's do an engine failure, and we'll finish off with that. Let's see how it handles the glide and get into the runway, etc. Let's start an early turn, why not? Just to change things. It's always nice to change things that can be changed, just to make things interesting and get yourself into situations where you're not so comfortable in. And obviously, if you're going to venture into something new you haven't done yet, and you're flying in the real world, just make sure you have a CFI, an instructor, with you. Just to give you a little bit of a reassurance and netting if anything goes wrong. Once you're comfortable with it, you know, play around, try different things, practice flapless landings, practice you know, short landings with full flaps, crosswinds. It's all, aviation is all about learning. It's always different. There's no landing that will be the same. So, right, let's do our turn, as otherwise we're going to go really wide. I'm going to keep it at 7 degrees. Bank. Right, okay. Keep going. Come on. Right, let's stop climbing, let's stop turning. Right, here we go. Let it speed a bit, and now throttle back to 2100. Alright, well my instructor would usually go and engine failure and he'd pull the throttle out, but over here it's a sim, so we can do mixture out. Right, we know there's a runway to our right, so what we want to do is a very shallow bank, and we now want to keep it at 70. Trim it. You're not advised to trim in turns, but it is an emergency. I mean, you've lost your engine, you know, there's a possibility everything could go wrong. So you do everything, and I mean everything, to come out alive from the situation. So if that means banking with flaps down or transitioning flaps, you do so. I mean, you know, you haven't got power to climb and fix things. I think I might be a bit out, but I think we shall make it. You don't want to do any slower than 70, because that's your optimum glide speed. Anything slower will keep you short from the runway. Anything faster will also keep you short from the runway. There we go. Right, I'm sure that I'm going to hit the runway, so flaps down. Fuel off, battery off, everything like that. Da 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 da. And we are going to land this beast. There we go. We want to take the most of that runway. Oops. It's so fidgety. There we go. Yeah. And nose is down. Keep flying it on the ground. We're still flying. We're still flying. Brakes on. We're still flying it. And here we are. We're alive to fly another day. Anyway, I do hope that you see my points on these things from my perspective as a real-world pilot. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that I could go through, but just as a beginner's guide, I think it's what it's meant to be. Just give you a few tips and tricks on what to do and what not to do as well. My overview on this sim, I mean, there's stuff that I can take advantage of, you know, like the entire 3D world. You know, if I need to go fly somewhere and I'm not familiar with the area, I can, you know, do a reenactment flight, so to say, and see if there's any hazards or anything that I might encounter that I may not like when I'm flying. I could recognize airports, approaches. In terms of flying, for any student pilots or anyone flying real world and they want to keep their, you know, their abilities up, especially now with coronavirus, and I'd say stay off. I find X-Plane a lot more accurate for a lot of stuff, a lot more flexible. You can use ForeFlight, you can use real world tools. There's a lot of customization which I don't think it has come yet to this sim. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I still think it's a bit overpriced. I mean, this is $120 at this time. If you're really serious about flying, graphics are not all. I'd rather, you know, have system simulation, so things like, you know, what happens when you have a flat battery? You know, can you recharge it to have a flight log? On X-Plane, I've got maintenance logs. I can change the plugs. I can, you know, add different weights. I've got the envelope for your weight and balance over here. I don't really. It can be very, very customizable, and it's just little details like, you know, your DI direction indicator going wrong. I mean, every single flight that I've done on X-Plane, especially GA, with real weather, I mean, the clouds are not spectacular and all that stuff, but when you're doing Dead Reckoning, I mean, Dead Reckoning is a real skill. It's all about timing on the watch and, you know, flying accurate headings, and it's not easy when you have your DI moving around, so you have to do your checks, you have to do, you know, your coordinated turns, you have to do all that sort of stuff, and, you know, you can have a 1 minute delay or 1 minute early, and it's how it would be in the real life. You know, if you drift off, you then do your calculations to come back to the same point, converge. I still feel this to be a little bit of a game, especially with airliners. I mean, I've flown Airbus simulators like full scale, and it's just no comparison. I mean, they're impossible to land. There's a lot of bugs. If you've got X-Plane, I'd recommend you using Flight Factor Airbus 320. It's probably the closest you're going to get to. I mean, it's still in development, and, you know, everything is, but a lot of the systems are simulator. You know, you could be the Sully and, you know, do all the procedures as you would. All the systems work. But anyway, those are my thoughts for the moment. I still need to keep this trying, but yeah, subscribe if you liked it and share it, and, you know, I do hope to make more videos and, you know, not only compare or review, but also teach. Especially aspiring pilots or people that want to you know, take this up seriously. And, you know, I think this is great for someone new, someone who's just starting out. You know, it's got a lot of aids, it's got a lot of challenges and things that you can do. I think it's good to combine both worlds, so X-Plane and this. Anyway, subscribe, share, and I hope to see you next time.